Hello friends! Forgive me if I'm not going to be looking at the camera much today, but I'm driving. I'm doing my first driving vlog that I can think of. I've definitely done car vlogs before in the past, but never while I was driving. I don't think it'll be much of a distraction because I've definitely talked on the phone before or talked to a passenger before while driving, so as long as I don't really look over much, I think it'll be fine. I'm on my way to my delivery job. I just picked up some more hours and I'm hoping to make a little extra cash because, you know, got bills to pay, things like that. Basically doing what everybody else is doing for the time being. So I was thinking this morning about what I wanted to talk about because since I do delivery driving, I'm just in my car for a long time and I have all this time usually I listen to TED Talks, podcasts, audiobooks, things like that. And I feel like it's really a great use of my time because I'm able to learn and listen while I'm just sitting and driving. Sorry about this lighting situation. It is what it is. So yeah, I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about and I couldn't come up with a specific topic in mind. And maybe that's okay because sometimes when I am talking, I will find it along the way. I think Michael Scott said something like that.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way, like an improvisation.
One thing that I've been thinking about lately a lot, and maybe it's just because I've been changing up my style, changing up my look a little bit, and kind of presenting myself in a way that I've never presented myself so forwardly in this way before. And just speaking about physical appearance, the super blonde hair, like I've never had super like almost white blonde, bleach blonde hair unless I was like going for silver or I was doing like purple or pink. And I have had it really blonde before, but it was like highlighted. It was supposed to look a little more natural. This is just like straight bleached light hair. And I've been tanning more and even doing a little bit of like fake tanning for no other reason than just because I like how when I have a little bit more color in my skin, it kind of contours my muscles and my form, and like it adds like extra shadow in some areas. And so I think about that from like a artistic perspective with color, lighting, and shadow. And I haven't been doing anything crazy. Like, I guess there's been a couple times where I've been like really tan, but I also just feel like I look really tan because my hair is so light right now that the contrast is really big. And I've also been trying to wear like more skirts and like dresses and things just like a little more frequently. So I'm kind of trying out that style and it's really fun. And I'm especially excited because there's like the Barbie movie coming out like in July, I think it is. It's like June or July of this year, 2023, and I just have a feeling that I'll be really inspired by a lot of the fashion in that movie, so I'm kind of like embracing the look right now. But I bring that up and I mention this because this is a really different kind of style than I've normally done, and I don't think it'll be the style I stick with for the rest of my life or anything like that, but it's really interesting to try new things. And I'm especially fascinated by the fact that this combination of aesthetics, especially with like the blonde hair, the makeup, you know, more feminine kind of clothing and colors, the tanning, like that all kind of fits a certain vibe of like a Barbie girl, or if you look back in like old media, not old, but like I guess fairly old media, like in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, even 2010s. If you look back, usually like the bad girl of the movie is the one who's like super popular and rich in school, and she always has like blonde hair and blue eyes and, you know, perfect skin and all that stuff, and she wears like girly stuff, like think Regina George, right?
I can't go out. I'm sick.
Boo, you whore.
And I think I've always been a little intimidated to appear in that persona because I got really afraid of getting in trouble when I was a kid. I was really afraid to say the wrong thing and get in trouble because I felt like if I said something and I got in trouble for it, then I was bad. or I had bad thoughts or bad opinions.
These muffins taste bad.
And so I just learned to kind of stop talking as much. I would be afraid to get in trouble for my actions. So I would try to make sure my actions followed perfect order so that I couldn't get in trouble for making a mistake, or I wouldn't be blamed for doing something wrong. I can see, looking back now, that that was all responses to fear. Fear of, getting yelled at, getting punished, having freedoms, rights, and privileges taken away. It makes sense why, as a kid, I quickly decided that I got better rewards, not upsetting people or not pushing the boundaries or not doing anything out of line that would make the people around me in my little circle upset or uncomfortable. And so it's kind of funny because you take this aesthetic of super angel blonde hair and blue eyes and the right amount of tan, right? And the very feminine aesthetic, pinks, baby blues, purples, dresses, skirts. You take that aesthetic and you'd think that that seems like a good girl look. But then in Hollywood media, they show you that that's what the bad girl wears. That's what the bad girl looks like. That's the girl that's mean. It's the girl that's popular and that has everything that you could ever want, but the girl that's mean, and you don't want to be like her. You want to be like the hero. So I think that subconsciously, I've only recently kind of come to terms with like why I wouldn't want to be appearing in such a way. I think that that's kind of it. I think it's just the fear of not being loved or liked and wanting to be the hero, wanting to be the good guy, the good girl. I hope you can still hear me. I'm like on the freeway right now. I think that's it. I think I was afraid to appear like this, and now that I've reached a certain level within myself of self-confidence where I don't care as much about what people think about me or what people say about me, and I'm also still in a very youthful, flexible, experimental age with myself where I'm still curious about trying different aesthetics because it really can change my attitude, my mood, and it also changes the way that I'm treated, I've noticed, when others see me. When I appear a certain way in the world, others will treat me accordingly. That part's kind of out of my control, and honestly, I feel like the most important thing is how you feel on the inside, because that really will vibrate outward, and that's how people will feel when they're around you, and that will really determine a lot of it. But of course, we can't deny that there are things like making a first impression, judging somebody on a first impression, and a lot of times we notice with our eyes. Our first impression is with our eyes, and we begin to start categorizing everything that we're witnessing, and we start putting it different places and associating different words, and the brain's just doing its thing, right? So I think the reason I've been hyper-focused on my appearance lately is because I'm doing something different than what I have done before, and I'm also doing something that feels more risky because it feels like there's more room for people to judge. I'm gonna specifically talk about women in this video. There's more room for people to judge women that appear in this manner, and I think part of that is definitely social conditioning, and it's the way that the bad girls are portrayed in media, or at least have been for the last 3 decades, maybe more. I feel like I can talk about this because I'm somebody that's experienced this, and it's sort of like one of those things that I'm trying to untangle and unknot and understand why I've had certain opinions and how I've come to those terms. And I feel like it's a couple things. One, I feel like it's definitely social conditioning and media presence. Another reason I think is jealousy. I think it's jealousy rooted in the fact that because of media conditioning, we have this idea that the large breasts and the blonde hair and the blue eyes and the, perfectly tanned skin and longer legs, the booty, the small snatched waist, this all would make you the perfect ideal woman to be loved. And everybody wants to be loved. And a lot of times nowadays, people are scared of not catering to a system that will reward you and give you what you need and what you want to survive and even thrive. So there's some women out there that will go to many lengths to look like the ideal woman that's worthy of having options, that's having a big, beautiful home, that's having enough money to provide for herself and her family, to have a partner that treats her with respect and kindness, to receive the best kind of love that you can, to have freedom to travel and have options and have a wardrobe and whatever else the feminine could desire, right? And some people, I think that's why I've been going on these deep dives of like plastic surgery. Also because I have a family member that's getting surgery, not plastic surgery, but a different kind of surgery. And it's kind of just been like opening this whole door of surgeries in general. So, and I've just been like seeing things pop up. You know, when you click on one video, then the algorithm starts to think that you want to see videos like that. So of course I go on little deep dives, and many women nowadays, young women too, young women that don't even need it, will like go to these lengths to get surgeries to try to look like what society has presented for who knows how long as the ideal woman. And they'll try to meet every one of those requirements. Not like, oh, she has the most beautiful, long, curly, dark hair, or like she has like the most beautiful hands, or her laugh has this tone that just really lights your heart up. Instead of having like a few handful of these features, many women, I feel like, are pressured and they feel competitive because they want to receive all of their dreams and blessings just like everyone else. And they will go to lengths to essentially, I think a lot of it also ends up falling into the category of misogyny. A lot of women will end up, instead of just like accepting and loving themselves and being enough for themselves, they will go so far as to maybe love themselves, but also appeal to the male gaze of whoever they feel like can fulfill their needs the most. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that if you're aware of it. I think a lot of women, especially young women who haven't had as much experience in life, don't understand or are not fully conscious that that's what they are catering to. That they're catering to men's wishes and desires because they still have this old idea that men are the ones that can easily get and retain money, and that men are stronger and more capable of keeping us safe.
I just want to make a quick note here and explain that I'm not saying that we don't need men or that we shouldn't appreciate men in our lives or have men as partners or anything like that. What I'm trying to say here is that we shouldn't rely solely on having men provide everything or most of everything in our lives to us, and we definitely shouldn't be sacrificing our individuality, our self-respect, and even our self-image to cater to the male fantasy. There's nothing wrong with having men in your life and having them fulfill certain roles and needs for you. That's totally fine. I just wanted to clear that up.
And that's just not the world that we really live in. And it's not the world we live in anymore. And honestly, it's not the world we really ever lived in, but there was a time when everyone subscribed to that idea, essentially because of like survivalism. And nowadays, in many countries, the basic levels of needs are met. Many people are housed, many people can get food, many people can get water in many countries. And so because the standard of living has gone up, but these ideas and beliefs about what it takes to survive and thrive and level up, so to speak, we keep adapting what that means. And a lot of people have turned to, because there's almost nothing else around you that you can improve upon, because in many places society is developed. We start turning to ourselves and fixing things in ourselves or on ourselves. And I'm guilty of this as well. I haven't done any kinds of surgeries or anything like that at all, but I did a lot of like inner work, and it did not start from a healthy place. I was constantly nitpicking and trying to correct thoughts, ideas, behaviors, and definitely like my feelings towards things. I thought that if I could learn to emit the perfect frequency, then I would naturally attract everything I could ever want in my life. And it's just impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible to emit the perfect frequency because, one, we are not aware of most of our unconscious frequencies. It's just a fact. We're only aware of like a small portion, which is conscious, and the rest is unconscious until it's brought to light, and then we can start to like look at that more, you know? A lot of times meeting other people in life is a fantastic way to bring unconscious things to life because we're all different. Everybody's at a different stage in their journey. Everybody has different life experience, and everybody comes from a completely different background. So it's really fascinating and amazing to learn from others, because just even associating with other people, I said that's so different. It's just even associating just even associating with other people can bring about new ideas and new concepts and new feelings. And it's just fantastic how the universe works and how that shows up in the material world. I used to do a lot of inner work. I still do. I'm always looking to self-improve. I'm like constantly reading, I'm journaling and doing meditation, yoga practices. I am listening to many different sources of podcasts and different musics and things like that to like fine tune my own frequency, because I found that when I do that, it helps people around me. And so I like to do that for me, because I think one of the reasons I'm here is to serve. I love to serve, and I love it. That's why it's so hard for me to ask for help or to accept help, because I'm like, no, I'm supposed to be the one that helps. Like I'm not supposed to get help, I'm not supposed to make it hard for people. I'm supposed to help people. And it's just like that whole idea, back on track, finding things to change about ourselves. Or again, I'm mainly talking to women in this video, but this could apply to anybody. There's nothing else around us to change, so we start changing ourselves. It's either inner work where we get like critical of our thoughts, feelings, internal, whatever, I'll say because a lot of times those go hand in hand, our physical appearance. We start changing our bodies because we think that the way we appear to others will get us results, or get us results faster. And it's a really tricky concept. And the reason is, you start changing things about yourself, you're gonna not only attract who you think you're trying to attract, right? You're gonna attract a whole slew of the unconscious people that you're not even trying to consciously attract. You're gonna attract the good and the bad for however you change yourself. Because once you start doing that, you're emitting a frequency that there was something wrong, or there was something that needed to be changed, and also the way in which you change it. So like everything, nothing matters, but everything kind of matters, because even a small tweak like a butterfly effect can change. It can change the course of things, and it can change your frequency. So when you start changing things like that about yourself, you will attract the people you think you want, but also the people that maybe you don't want. And you're still going to be sifting through people, essentially, and sifting through situations and experiences. And two, when suddenly more and more people are trying to achieve a societal standard of beauty, quotes, then we all start to look the same. I feel like that's a step back in the evolution of the human race for a bunch of reasons. I think that we're all here to learn, and I think the best way to learn is through differences. And it's through meeting different people of different backgrounds and going out of your comfort zone and trying new things. I think you can only really learn and keep growing when you do things differently and you meet different kinds of people. And I think as soon as everybody starts to talk the same, act the same, look the same, what else are we learning? We're all just going to be perpetuating a life that we feel like we had to sacrifice and work for and bleed and cry and sweat over. We're going to be perpetuating a cycle to try to maintain it. And then we're going to ultimately realize that that was not the ultimate happiness. Like, that was not the goal. The goal is to keep learning forever until you die, because nothing is going to bring you ultimate happiness forever. It's just not. And there are things that can make you feel close. And that's why it's good to have continual experiences throughout your life and to do different things, because you will keep having experiences that excite you or surprise you or bring you joy. Like, those are some of my favorite experiences to manifest, when I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Like, I get so excited. It gives me like a little jolt, of like, oh, wow. Positive joy, bursting energy. And I can't live my entire life feeling like that, but the new experiences bring about that feeling. And so I get to experience them in a different way, in a different form, and it sends the emotions in a channel that I want them to be. I think it's a really beautiful thing to embrace who you are. And in this day and age, it's more challenging than ever to really love yourself, because there's a lot of content out there about loving yourself and giving yourself self-love. There's a lot of content out there that is disguised as self-love, when really it's perfectionism. It's trying to help you not feel guilty about changing everything about who you are. And people like that because they don't like feeling guilty and they don't like feeling conflict inside. They don't like feeling like they're out of alignment with their true self. I honestly, like, as I've gotten older, I really believe when I say this, to slow down a little and to take your time. Because, again, as I mentioned earlier, standard of living in many places has gone up. Life expectancy has gone up. You have more time to develop and you have more time to become who you want to be. So I'm 26 now. I did not look like this, and I definitely did not feel like this when I was 20. I was a completely different person, and I went through many, many different phases of metamorphosis. And I'm still continuing to have phases and metamorphosis, and it's really interesting to see where my life is taking me and how my journey is unfolding and the new people that I keep getting the privilege and the pleasure to meet, and how they help enrich my life and help me consider things about myself and about the world around me, and it helps me grow, and I appreciate that, and I really hope that I do the same for people. So life is a lot deeper than social media would have us believe, and you are more beautiful than you even realize. And so I guess that's just a message to anybody watching. You are so special, and God created you. You can call it God, you can call it the universe. You might not believe in any kind of higher power, that's okay. But I really believe that we were all created unique and special and different for a reason. It's because we're all here to learn from each other. So dye your hair, do different makeup, wear a different color shirt, express yourself, try out different things. There's nothing wrong with that. That's creativity, self-expression. But don't lose touch with who you are, and definitely don't think that looks are the most important thing, because they're not. It can be fun to play around with looks, but at the end of the day, we're all going to be changing a lot anyway, so leave some room for growth. And also, don't be too judgmental on yourself, and especially women. Let's not be too judgmental of each other. There's a lot of women out there that express themselves in different ways, and I think it's important that we embrace each other and we learn from each other and we lift each other up, because all those women out there have something to learn from each other, and all those women out there just want to be loved and accepted and have a safe space with women. And that's something I for sure want in my life. I want to have supportive, healthy female relationships. And I've been really, really blessed to have met so many women in my life that I do appreciate, that have just made me feel safer and stronger and more free and more confident and more insightful. I just love who I've met in my life, and I'm excited to continue to meet people in my life. I'm almost at my job right now and gonna help them pack some stuff, and I deliver food, by the way. That's one of my side jobs, and I love it. I really love it. I get to see these beautiful neighborhoods. I get to listen to whatever podcasts and audiobooks that I want, and it's a really good time for me to have some personal time and self-reflect. So if you guys like car vlogs like this, definitely feel free to subscribe and like this video, comment on this video, and let me know if you want to see more like this, because this is a great way for me to make use of my time, and also to share the thoughts and feelings and opinions that I've been experiencing for the past few days or past few weeks or months, whatever. And so hope you guys have a wonderful day and wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.